Okay. Hello. Hi, Zoe. Hi, Rennie. Okay. Just setting up now, and we'll just give you a few minutes, maybe a minute or two, to see if anyone else is going to join, and then we start. Um. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. If you do not need to have your camera on, that's completely fine. Okay. I think I'm just going to go ahead and start. Okay, so hi everyone. Well, Zoe and Rennie, thank you very much for joining us in the MFA Scenography online information session today. It's really lovely to have you both here. My name is Ikram, and I am part of the student recruitment and marketing team here at Central, and I'll be moderating today's session and making sure everything runs smoothly. But before we start, I just need to mention a couple of things. And first is throughout the session, if you could keep your mics muted during the presentation, just to avoid, any background noise. If you feel comfortable leaving your camera on, that's also completely fine. If you want it off, that is also fine. You are very welcome to drop any questions into the chat or into the QA box. You can drop it while the lecturer is speaking, or you can wait till after. Either way is okay. I also wanted to let you know that this session is going to be recorded for those that are unable to join the session as well. And yeah, if you can type in the chats where either of you are tuning in from, just to kick things off. We usually get a lot of students from the UK, but as well globally. So it'd be nice to know where both of you are watching from.
Thank you, Ikram.
You're
Hello,
welcome.
I'm the program leader. My name is Simon. I'm the program leader for the MFA Scenography. I created the course back in 2010, and this course, hi Zoe from Luxembourg. Wow.
Oh wow.
Um, uh, this course exists since 2010, as I was saying, but it is an ever evolving program. And even this year, some of what we do is not what we were doing last year. So what I'm going to tell you about today, I have a short presentation to make about the course, is very much where we are at right now, but there will be minor modifications that will happen next year. And this is really because the course is constantly absorbing the new types of practices and ideas that exist outside in the world and in the industry. So I'm just going to screen share with you this presentation, which of course, all right. Just going to keep you here. So the course is very much aimed at enabling individuals to situate themselves within their practice, which is to say that although we are a performance design training course, we are not interested to simply pass on the traditional techniques and processes and approaches to performance design. Part of the course aims at training innovative practitioners, designers who have something different and new to bring to the industry, and which of course is in the benefits of designers. This is a way for them to be able to stand out and have as much work as possible and be successful. So the way we go about distilling innovation on the course is manifold, but one of them is what we call an auto-ethnographic ethos. And this is about how the particular interest and the particular aspects or languages or cultures of each student are encouraged to feed into their design practice. So to give you an example, we might work from a traditional opera piece, but we're not looking to have it designed in a way that it has been designed before. And we are interested in how students might individually adapt this particular opera piece and to bring into it or steer the work in a direction that is within their interests, whether those are very personal, political, social, cultural interests. We're interested in ways of recontextualizing old classics into contemporary languages, contemporary visual forms. So this way of situating the student's unique particular is one that we sort of nurture right from the beginning of the course and throughout. However, the course is structured in a way where we have always two projects running alongside one another. And these projects, and this is part of the auto-ethnographic principle of the course, these projects gradually become more and more self-curated by students. That is to say that the very first projects in term one are projects where we provide the script, we provide the venue, the different processes that we expect students to undertake, the different steps and stages of the creative process from conception to completion. And as the course progresses in term two, the projects that students are doing are very much projects where maybe the outcome of the project is prescribed or the starting point of the project is prescribed, but the way that the students will work or the collaborators they choose or even the outcomes of the projects will be up to each student. And then by the final terms and the final unit, which we call the Sustaining Development Project, every student is responsible for curating every aspect of that project. So what is the project about? How are they going to work? Who they work with? What is the outcome of the project? None of that is prescribed. It's all down to each individual. This allows students to be able to gradually take on the role that they are most interested in having as a professional after the course, to also be able to hone in on certain skills or certain knowledge that they are particularly interested to specialize in, and therefore to be able to prepare more precisely for professional practice. So I'm going to go through those units or projects very quickly, just to give you a sense of what we do. So we have a triple unit called speculative materials. There are three parts to this unit, three projects. The first one in the autumn is one that is based on a musical performance and is about developing a full speculative design and staging of this performance. Like I said, the venue, the script, the ways to work are prescribed by the brief of the unit. As part of this unit, students go through different kind of skills workshop on model making, technical drawing, AutoCAD, and stop motion. These are ways of modeling ideas, not just to communicate them, but also as a mode of development of the design. And this particular project is assessed at the end by presentation of a 3D model and accompanying visuals. In the same autumn term, we have a secondary project as part of the same unit that runs parallel to it. And it's very similar in some ways, but this is about working in real scale, in real space, with real bodies. And this project involves different kind of workshops, skills workshops again, in movement, but also in different media, so film, video, sound, lighting, and projections. This allows students to learn and be inducted into using a range of equipment that they are able to then book and utilize for future projects in their practice. This is a project that is collaborative and involves smaller groups of students within the cohort. So this is the first collaborative project on the course. And the assessment for this project is about co-editing as a group a film that documents 5 minutes of footage and findings, discoveries made during those workshops in movement, film, sound, lighting, and projection. I should have said that these workshops are 2 weeks long, intensive series of workshops. We also have a more traditional project unit, which is a research unit called Scenographic Histories. This is quite a straightforward unit, which allows students coming from a BA to transition to postgraduate studies maybe more smoothly. And simply, this project is about identifying a research subject, conducting a research reading specifically, and having discussions and critical conversations around this research subject during the term. And by the end of the project, students write a 3,000-word essay in which their subject and their research is captured and organized around a particular question or argument. Then in the spring term, we have the first of the bigger collaborative projects on the course. This is called Performing Research. This project involves almost all the other master courses at Central and enables students to form teams of 3 to 6 individual students from any of the courses at school. And as a group, they identify a subject that they want to practice and research, and they spend the term doing practice and research around that subject to eventually make a group presentation of the work that they have done. Then we have the third part of speculative materials, which is a collaboration with the MFA directing at the East 15 School of Acting. So of course, this MFA directing has students who are training to be directors. And so our collaboration with them is very much about exploring the designer-director relationship and collaboration. As part of this project, we have a number of skills workshop in motion capture, as well as casting and in design. These are there to enable students to explore digital and physical ways of designing, as well as laying out and producing portfolio pages of their creative process in collaboration with the director. So the assessment for this project is one that we called a virtual map, and it's the beginning of a plan for how their professional portfolio will render this particular project and work. In the summer term, we have 2 units running alongside one another, as always. We have one unit called the option unit. This is not a unit that you can opt out of. It's rather a unit that has a number of projects on offer, and each student can opt in any one of those projects. Each of those projects are offered by a different course. The MFA Scenography offers a project in sound called Orality. So this is a specialized project around the practice of sound, in which students get to create a performance in a site-specific location, a performance that is driven by sound. There is also a project on puppetry and object manipulation from the MA Advanced Theatre Practice. There is a project in festival producing from the Creative Producing Master. So there are a number of projects in different disciplines from different courses that allow students to be able to explore those other disciplines. And of course, they are all the students involved in this unit are from different courses. So again, this ends up being a project or a number of projects that have a mix of discipline and students from different courses. The assessment for these projects is typically one by way of doing a performance and then a presentation analyzing and reflecting on that performance. And then finally, we have what I mentioned earlier, the Sustainable Development Project. This is the final big project. This is one that is entirely self-curated by students. So it's a range of things depending on students' interest. As part of this project and in the summer term, we offer skills workshops in more advanced digital technologies, specifically interactive technologies such as sensors and projection mapping, which is a software called Isadora. The project, the Sustainable Development Project, includes an exhibition, an open public exhibition at the end of the term where each student can present the work that they have made within this project. And the assessment for this final project is one by way of producing a portfolio or a dissertation. And this is the end of my presentation. This was a quick run through of the structure of the course. I'm sure there are questions, not necessarily about the content of the course, but surrounding that content. So I'm very happy to hear any question or read any question. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat because it looks like there may be certain things there. Oh, we have a
Hi, Rennie.
new.
If you can ask your question, you can go ahead and ask your question. You can just unmute. Thank you.
Yes, I was going to say, Ikram, it looks like they are all blocked from being able to unmute.
All right. Okay, I just should allow their mic in now.
So I'm going to start with a question from Zoe, if that's all right. This is
Yeah.
the first question in the chat. How do you get to work or interact with people in the industry? So all our tutors, so our film tutors, sound tutors, set design tutors, costume design, are all industry professionals. There are opportunities to design productions, specifically for MFA students in their second year. And these might be productions outside of Central or at Central. Either way, even at Central, our productions are directed by professional directors as well as production managed by professionals, as in our production managers are professionals. And then, of course, we have guest professionals that come to share their work. And there are also opportunities to assist professionals, specifically again in the second year of the MFA. The MFA year one is the same as what I've just described for the MA. The MFA has a second year in which students specifically spend their time working on larger project in a professional context. So that might be doing internships or making work with a company, a new company formed with other students and touring the work or designing production, as I've said. I hope that answers your question, Zoe.
All right, Rennie, if you don't mind trying your mic again, please.
Yes, hi.
Aha.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
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 perfect.
thank you.
Hi, Rennie.
Hello. Hello, hi. Thank you very much for hosting this seminar. And I'm sorry again, my daughter is in school. So this is quite a few years into the future for us, but the reason I'm on this call on her behalf is because we're very confused about how to make this decision. And I guess the reason I want to ask in particular is about the difference between the BA and the MFA. So she is quite certain she wants to go into scenic design, but she would also, well, she's quite academic as a person, and has, good enough predicted grades to go into a good research university for a more general degree, let's say in like a history of art or something like that. And she would really like to have that general broad university experience first, rather than going directly into drama school for a more vocational degree. I just wondered if you could give some advice about what considerations we need to think about. Is there any disadvantage if you don't have a BA in a directly related field like scenic construction or scenic design, or you have a more general BA degree? Does your MFA in effect replace the BA, or is it completely something different such that you will be entirely disadvantaged if you haven't come with a BA in a directly related field? And also, the final question related to that is how competitive it would be to get into an MFA if you don't have a directly related BA. Does that question make sense?
Sure. So I suppose we have students on the MA and MFA that come from a range of BA training and disciplines, not just theatre design or scenic design. Um, they typically come from BAs that have some kind of creative practice involved, because in order to apply for the course, you need to have a portfolio. And I suppose on a history of art BA, you might not be undertaking practical creative projects that can then feed into a portfolio. However, I certainly have had students that came from BA in literature or history of art, and those students had portfolio of creative practice because outside of their BA studies, they were involved in their local theatre club or local theatre companies, or they took the initiative during holidays to do sort of work placements with different kind of creative practitioners. So I don't particularly look at what is the BA course and study that my applicants have. I also have interviewed and recruited students who did not even have a BA a diploma with them behind in their past, but instead they had 10 years professional experience or 5 years professional experience in a related part of the creative industries. So no, there is no such thing as a requirement to have a BA in scenic design, and I wouldn't say that it's an advantage to have one necessarily. It's important that the students that come on the course have some skills, but not all the skills that are required. In all cases, the MFA Scenography is not about scenic design. Scenic design is just one aspect of it. We are training students in the areas of set scenic design, costume design, lighting, video, prop, um, and none of that is to do with construction or technical training, but has to do with designing. So it is a holistic course that welcomes students from all sorts of backgrounds with all sorts of intentions in terms of their ambitions and vocation to be more specialized. So this is why the course is made in such a way that any student who wants to be a costume designer or scenic designer will be able to tailor each the projects that happen later on in the course to their specific role and vocation. And of course, they get to be tutored and mentored by professionals and tutors from the specific design area that they are interested in. The MFA course, to answer your second question, if I'm correct, the MFA course is not a replacement for the BA whatsoever. The MFA year one, the first year of the MFA, is identical to the MA course that I have just broken down into the different projects that we do. But the MFA offers a second year that follows the first year, obviously. And in that second year, students are no longer training. We don't offer projects in the second year per se. Instead, we guide them in acquiring and engaging with professional practice. So in the second year, our students are assisting professionals or designing professional productions or doing both in any number of that are possible. Some students do a whole year-long internship, and others do 2 or 3 different internships of smaller durations. So the second year of the MFA is very much about the transition to professional practice, which is not only about understanding how the professional productions function and the complexity of those contexts, but it also is for some of our students are not interested to be stage designers. They are more interested to be art directors, for instance, in film. So their second year is dedicated to working with film directors on film productions, either assisting art directors or being art directors themselves. So the second year is very much specialized and about professional practice, which may vary from one student to another. A BA course, the BA course at Central, I can talk about it a little bit because I'm also teaching on the BA course. The BA course at Central is more specialized. It is about set and costume design primarily, and for theater primarily, and it's a 3-year long course. It's a useful course to acquire and very much develop the more traditional skills that are expected from set and costume designers. I hope this answers your question, Winnie.
Yes, that's incredibly, incredibly helpful. And so just to clarify the thing that you said at the end, well, your whole response, thank you very much. I thought that was very thoughtful and fulsome and detailed, and you completely understood my question, which is much appreciated. But at the end, when you said that the BA course would be useful to acquire and develop the traditional skills that are expected, how would one get into this profession with an MA in an unrelated field, but then an MA in an MFA in your course on scenography? Would they then not have the opportunity at all to develop the traditional skills that employers might expect? How are those acquired if you come straight into the MFA?
So on the MA and the MFA, we do provide those traditional skills. As I said, we have workshops in model making and technical drawing. I suppose our students only get a year or 2 to be able to practice those, whereas on the BA, they have 3 years to practice those. So that just gives more time, and therefore for some students, that will be more helpful. Of course, some people learn more quickly than others, but 3 years dedicated to the very same skills is obviously a more extensive kind of training. Once you learn skills, you can also practice them by yourself and get better at those. So it's not a disadvantage to have done a BA in another discipline and then only have an MA in stage design. Most of our students on the MA and MFA course do not come from a BA in theater design, just to know. Many of them come from architecture, from film, from fashion. And of course, those are areas where some of the skills that we are talking about for stage design are relevant. Technical drawing of spaces is something that architects do. And but of course, architects have no training in relation to costume design, for instance. So for them, these are completely new skills. and they get a year or two to be able to practice the skills on the course, and then they continue practicing them as professionals. Um, I suppose the way one gets into this industry is not due to diplomas. There is no such thing as diplomas being required for an interview for stage designer. In fact, in the theater industry, no one really cares what diplomas you have. People look at portfolios, and portfolios show your skills, your abilities, what you can do with your hands, with softwares, etc. This is what matters. And of course, there are plenty of BA students, some of mine included, that spend 3 years practicing model making, and after 3 years, they're still not very good model makers. It's really not just a matter of how much time you spend, it's also a matter of your ability, the time you dedicate to things, and talent. The way one goes into this industry, to be very honest, is both about the skills and your abilities, but mostly it's about networking. It's about who you know, and who you know, who knows who, etc. There are no such thing as jobs for stage designers coming up in the Guardian or online or whatever. And there is a very good reason for it, is that people don't advertise those kind of jobs. These jobs are passed on from people to people who know who, etc. So networking is really important, and getting to know professionals, and getting to know emerging professionals as well, forming a community of people that are involved in the industry is really useful. And then part of that obviously involves very good social skills, being very good communicator, being able to listen and work with people really well, constructively, productively, and ethically. These are all the kind of human qualities that really give an advantage to designers, in addition to networking and skills, to get into the industry. There are plenty of very famous stage designers who have no diplomas in stage design whatsoever. It is absolutely not a necessary condition to get into this particular field as a professional.
Thank you so much. That was incredibly, incredibly helpful. Very grateful.
My pleasure. All right, Zoe, you had a question. I was wondering if there was a big difference between advanced theatre practice and scenography for a designer. Yes, there is a huge difference. Advanced theatre practice is about collaborative practice. So on that course, the students work consistently in teams, first of all, whereas on our course, half of our projects are collaborative, and half of our projects are independent. So there is plenty of space for individuals to author and own the work that they are making. Another difference is that the scenography course has a studio. We have a particularly dedicated space in which our students each have their own table, and this is because we work with a range of materials and tools. Some of them are pretty old-fashioned, others are like 3D printers and 3D scanners. We are quite a specialist practical training course for designers. The advanced theatre practice is more about designers, directors, performers, etc., coming together, forming companies, and learning how to direct. So a designer who wants to learn how to direct, especially direct a group or a company of people, will be better off on the advanced theatre practice. On the advanced theatre practice, there are no such thing as workshops in model making or technical drawing. It is not a vocational kind of course. It's more like a holistic theatre practice kind of course. So even though they do have some projects that are specialized in relation to directing or dramaturgy or scenography, there is still an expectation that the students are versatile, and it is very much about performing. So they don't have a studio. because they move from week to week to different kind of rehearsal spaces. Much of the work that they do is performance-based, physical, live performance-based, whereas much of the work that we do on our course is design-based. Now we do collaborate with them, obviously. We have a lot to share and to support one another. But the training is completely different. In fact, I used to be, before I created the scenography course, I was a tutor on the advanced theatre practice. And part of why I wanted to create a scenography course is because I felt that there was really a lack of training in performance design at a master level. At Central, we have a BA that is specialized in that, but we don't have an MA. The MA Advanced Theatre Practice does a bit of everything at the same time, and students have to go through all those different things, so they can't actually focus just on scenography. So this is why I created the MA MFA Scenography course. My pleasure, Zoe. I'm glad this was a useful clarification. Are there any other questions?
I think Rachel joined in quite later after you answered a few questions. So Rachel, although the recording will be sent out to everyone that registered, if you have any specific question about the course or about the application, Simon would be more than happy to answer if you do have any. Feel free to drop your questions if you have any in the chat, or you could unmute your mic if you have any question and feel comfortable speaking. Or if you don't have any, really, you can just signify and give a thumbs up, maybe.
Just in relation to the application process, I might give a little bit of information there. All applicants are invited to interviews. First of all, I do not do any pre-selection of applications. Secondly, the portfolio that is required for the application and then for the interview has no expected format. The most important is that the portfolio shows the best skills that the applicant has. It's not about the quantity of projects or pages, it's about the quality of the work that is being presented. And then the last thing I will say about applications and recruitment is that about 10% of applicants do enter the course. We are a small course of about 12 to 15 students. So the selection is pretty competitive in this respect. Thanks, Ikram, for giving the link to how to play.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Simon, for. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Go ahead, Rachel. Hi.
No, sorry, I'm just saying I'm sorry that I wasn't able to speak earlier. I've just had to clock in during work. So I've just taken a step outside, but I would really appreciate recording the Zoom if you could email that.
All right, that would do. That would do. Yeah, we will be able to do that.
Amazing. And yeah, what I caught was really informative, so thanks for that.
I'm glad you found the little that you got to hear really insightful, and thank you very much, Simon, as well for that. So if that would be all, then I guess we would be able to call an end to this online information session. If you do have any other questions and you just want a few answers to anything regarding your application or about the course, please feel free to send an email to this. Just write it into the chat now.
You can also email me directly. It's not a problem. I'm very more than happy to answer individual questions and queries, especially anything to do with what we've discussed today as a sort of follow-up.
All right. Thanks very much, Simon, for that. And thanks very much, everyone that joined this session. And hopefully we get to see you soon at Central.
Yes.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.